Hello and welcome to From the Rookery End. It's a balmy, I think I could call it balmy still, August the 13th, on our way to Vicarage Road. My name is John. With me on the walk here is Eli.
Hello.
And we're going to go and sit. I like cup games because it gives me the opportunity to sit somewhere else in the ground.
Pollock.
So we are sitting in the
on
John's stand
Morris,
today
and
from the side. Lots of changes to this team. You got to love Ken Semmer starting. Loser, Deli Bashiri, who we did talk him up and big him up on the podcast this week, on the weekend, and he grew into the game away at Millwall. We also get to see Tom Ince from the start and Rivich from the start, but also Vata. We're getting quite excited about a couple of those players. Rocco Vata, probably the one I'm most looking forward to seeing, but also interested in seeing Iman Loser, who's starting, to see if, is this a player who's playing for a place in the Watford squad? But we shall see as we head towards Vicarage Road. But before the game starts and before we get there, I think I've downloaded I've got the tickets, Eli, don't worry. DCW's done a bit of research. Done a bit of basically I think he's done an exercise to see if we should be getting excited about this League Cup, because there's a lot of disdain towards the League Cup. It's a bit weird in the sense of when it starts at the beginning of the season, is it a distraction from us settling into the league? And ultimately, is it worth it? But Dave's done a bit of research. I look back on Watford and how well we've done in this league, how well we've done in this cup. So let's see if we feel better after hearing from DCW, his roundup of Watford in the League Cup.
The League Cup first round. Not the most exciting, mouth-watering prospect, especially in recent years for Watford. But, over the years, it hasn't been all bad, has it? So I thought I'd have a look through the archives and just have a bit of a journey, a potted history through our travails in the competition over the years. So our first ever game in the League Cup was in 1960. Perhaps Ollie or Colin could fill us in on the details of this game at some point. But that was against Derby County in October 1960. We lost 5-2 at the Vic. And then, as far as I can see, no real success until 1978-79 in Taylor's second or third season. We got to the semi-finals against Nottingham Forest, but we lost. Then to bring things up to modern day, we got to the quarter-finals in 2002 in the Vialli season, where we lost 4-0, sadly, at Hillsborough to Sheffield Wednesday in what was probably the low point of a season that featured many low points. We lost to Luton the season after in 2002-03, lost to them 2-1 at the Vic. That game most memorable for two things, really. One, a Matty Spring belter from 30 yards into the top corner for Luton, if I remember correctly, and also some of the Luton fans storming the pitch before the game, with one of them pathetically brandishing a corner flag as a weapon as he charged towards the Rookery End. And then 20 years ago to this very season, in 2004-05, under Ray Lewington, we had a storming League Cup run to the semi-finals. Here is the road to the semi-finals. You probably won't remember the early rounds, so I'll fill you in now. Round 1, we beat Cambridge United 1-0 at the Vic. Andy Farrell scoring for Watford. Remember him? Geordie lad, only thing he ever did for Watford, but he played his part. Round 2, away to Reading, beat them 3-0. Goals from Hammer Buatsa, Neil Cox and an own goal. Round 3, Sheffield United away, 0-0, and we squeaked it 4-2 on penalties. Round 4, this is where it gets interesting. Southampton at home. Steve Wigley's Southampton at home. We hammered them 5-2. Goals from Buatsa, James Chambers, 2 for Bruce Dyer, and that amazing volley by Heider Helgeson. And then that set us up with a quarter-final against Southampton's rivals, Portsmouth, who were in the Premier League at the time, of course, and we saw them off with ease. 3-0, a brace for Helgeson, another goal for Bruce Dyer, and that, of course, led to a semi-final over 2 legs against Liverpool. In the season that they would go on to win the Champions League, they beat us 1-0 at the Vic and then 1-0 at Anfield. And as far as I can remember, he didn't really lay a glove on them, but I suppose 2 1-0 defeats to Liverpool, respectable for Watford. So that was a good cup run. How's it been since? more bad than good. In 2008, we did get to the quarter-finals then. Lost to Spurs, who were the eventual champions that season. Their last trophy, in fact. We lost to Spurs 2-1 at the Vic. Tamas Priskin gave us the lead with a great goal, twisting and turning in the penalty area before firing into the bottom corner past the despairing Aurelio Gomez. Since then, we got to round 4 in 18-19 under Javi Gracia. Lost 2-0 to Everton at Goodison Park. In fact, the first game of the Pozzo era was in the League Cup. It was in the 12-13 season. For some reason, the League Cup started before the EFL season proper. So the League Cup started on a Saturday in August that season, where we beat Wycombe Wanderers after extra time 1-0 with Chris Uwelamo scoring the only goal. Now, of course, tonight we're playing MK Dons, who we did play in this competition 2 seasons ago at the Vic in the same round, and they beat us 2-0. Let's hope that's not the same tonight. But we've actually played at MK Dons in the League Cup, but not against MK Dons. In that 18-19 season, we beat Spurs 2-0 at MK Dons Stadium because they were at Wembley at the time, and Wembley was booked, basically, that night, and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium obviously wasn't ready yet, so they had to find somewhere to play, and MK was the choice that they came up with. But obviously in recent times, it has been slim pickings, to say the least, for Watford in the League Cup. So here are the teams that we've lost to in rounds 1 or 2 since the competition went to single leg ties in the first and second rounds in 2001, because before that, in this competition, in the first and second rounds, they were over 2 legs. Then it went to single leg ties in the third round. Mad competition. Don't know why that was a thing, but thankfully they got rid of it. So the teams we've lost to in the first or second round since then: Luton, Bristol City twice, Southend, Leeds, Notts County, Bristol Rovers, Bradford, Norwich, Doncaster Rovers, Preston, Gillingham, Newport, MK Dons and Stevenage. So there have been some flat nights in the first and second round of the League Cup in recent times. Let's hope tonight isn't another one of those occasions. But to give us some hope that we could, despite our humble status as a, let's say, championship also ran at this stage, there have been some EFL teams that have reached the semi-finals or better in recent times. Bradford famously reached the final in 2012-13. They beat us on the way to the final in the second round that year, actually, but they got to the final. They lost to Swansea. Sheffield United, who were also in League One, they got to the semi-finals in 14-15. Cardiff, who were in the Championship, they got to the final in 11-12. And in 18-19, Burton Albion got to the semi-finals, but they did lose 10-0 on aggregate to Man City, which is something I think we can sympathise with in a way. So the League Cup first round, sometimes good, more often than not so good. But who knows, maybe this year, 20 years on from that semi-final run under Lewington, maybe history could repeat itself and we go on an unlikely cup run. Fast forward.
We are at half time, and DCW, unfortunately, your clever joke there will not happen. 2-0 already to the Hornets. We can't lose it 2-1.
Well, okay.
We can lose it, but we can't lose it 2-1.
Absolutely. Look, every time we get one of these draws in the Carabao Cup, either the first round that we're in now or the second round, you just think, well, this is a good opportunity to turn up, just do a job, put a bit of minutes in the legs, in the tank, and get a bit of confidence, build a bit of momentum. And always seem to find it so hard. Yeah. Always, without fail, we get here and we're like, oh, I should have been like everyone else and stayed at home. Tonight, at half time, different kettle of fish.
Absolutely.
Get it? Different kettle of fish. Absolute dream come true for Mattie Pillock. He's captain tonight as well. And he's the first Watford player named after a fish to score since Hake Livermore or Cod Thomas. I'm not sure which one it is. Also, luckily for him, he's a Man United fan, and I wonder if Eric Ten Hag is at home watching and going to put an order. Probably closer to it. Probably be Stingray Lewington. That'll be plenty more where that came from.
Oh my God!
Although, funnily enough,
my God, I hope not.
Funnily enough, we asked where the goals are going to come from in this Watford side. Well, it's obviously the centre backs. Pollock scored, great header by the way, and Sierralta crashed one against the bar as well.
Yeah. Well, it's been after Saturday, Mike. So that's what we'll do with you. Compared to Saturday, we saw a formation, we saw a way of playing, and you think early in this season, you sort of want to. That's an important thing to keep going, and if you can see it through a depth of squad, 9 changes here, and it's still playing out that way, that's for me, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's absolutely key. I think it's about momentum at this time of the season. As you say, John, we at the weekend at Millwall, we did see what Tom Cleverley was trying to do, the intensity, the passing. It was our undoing a little bit, and like you say, that clear formation, the pattern of play, something we've been looking out for a long time with the Watford side. We haven't really been able to see one emerging, and it's already under Tom Cleverley. It is emerging, but what was really important, and alluded to it at the start of this bit here at half time, is that we carry that on. Games like this are difficult. We're looking out over the Graham Taylor stand's not open.
Empty, yeah.
Half the there are a few Milton Keynes fans here making a decent noise, not endearing themselves to anyone, talking about how stinking rich they are. Now they've been taken over by a Kuwaiti consortium, so they continue to make friends and influence people. But these are difficult games to get going in sometimes. The atmosphere's a bit flat. You look around it's got all the trappings of a pre-season friendly, really, but not a bit of it from Watford. You mentioned quite a few changes, but still, if you go through that lineup, that's not necessarily a side that would look out of place in the Championship for us. If that was a Championship starting side, we wouldn't be massively surprised. And to give them credit, they've come out, they've carried on in that shape, carried on playing with that intensity, and for all intents and purposes, they've really made it quite easy for themselves. As you'd hope, we're playing a League Two side. They lost at home at the weekend, so they've had a rough start. But Watford are looking as much better than their opposition as they should be, and I think that's credit to Tom and credit to the guys he selected.
Yeah, I'm going to catch up with Jace after game, so a full rundown of it all. But Vata, it's one of my thoughts, but I think felt a lot more accomplished than I thought as well.
Real bright spark, isn't he? And that's kind of what everyone who's been to the pre-season friendlies has said. They've seen him as being the one that's the get off your seat type player, and you can see why. And he's a youngster, but the way he holds himself and the way he plays, he is absolutely intent on making a mark on this match. Lovely snapshot towards the end of the first half. I think the keeper either just went wide or the keeper had saved it, can't remember, but he got it away really quickly. And for him to have that quickness of thought, the willingness to do it, Watford have looked so devastatingly ponderous for the last sort of year, 18 months in front of goal. We still need that striker, but players like him doing stuff like that is encouraging. Massive caveat, Carabao Cup against the League Two opposition. But you're absolutely right, John. He is one that's he's caught the eye. Yeah, really excited to see him.
Now we're looking around. I'm in the Southampton, John. Don't normally do that. Near the dugout, near the back room. Yasser Esprit around anywhere?
He is. Yeah, we saw Yasser coming in. Him and Imran Louza, I suspect, didn't imagine that they were going to be here for this game. One playing and one watching on from the stand. So yeah, fascinating to see what happens with Yasser. It sounds like he's got himself into a bit of a pickle with his agents. And potentially that's up to him. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. I mean, personally, having given it some thought, I'm not letting myself think that he will still be at Watford. Well, I'm not allowing that. But for his development and looking at the bids that have come in and from where, they're not the moves he's been looking for. Probably not the money that Watford are looking for. Possibly, and if he's got two agents on the go, the money's going to need to be even more. So would till January here at Watford, another season here at Watford, be better for all parties? Don't know. It's wishful thinking a little bit, isn't it? But yeah, interesting to see it here, and I suppose that's football, isn't it? Yeah. Things change. We thought we wouldn't see him set foot in Vicarage Road again. Certainly not as a contracted Watford player, but here he is. There's a while to go yet in the transfer.
Absolutely.
But interesting.
These things can happen very last minute, and it can all happen. Very quickly, as we've seen of a lovely last day on Sky Sports. So we're going to head out for the second half. Back it later. I'll catch Jason at the garage as we walk home. But all good so far.
Yeah, and you've got 45 minutes plus pens maybe to come up with some more fish pens. Not fish pens, fish puns.
As I left with Mike, we were 2-0 up after that Pillock header and the goal from Paul Ince. And the goal from Tom Ince.
To be fair, Paul Ince probably could have scored those goals.
The second half continued with two more from Tom Ince, and also a goal from Kwadwo Baah. And Eli and I were working a couple of chants during that, weren't we? So we had Kwadwo Baah, can you score a goal? Yes sir, back of the goal. One for the head coach and one for the fans and one for the Italian man who lives in the stand. Sits in the stand, or maybe I should have said. Yeah, but Jason, second half, I think the whole game overall, what are your first sort of look at that team? I know it's not the same team that played on Saturday, but your first sort of what are you thinking about that sort of the way they were set up and the way... I mean, I know we were playing against a League 2 team and all the rest of it, but there's a certain amount of, good performance there. What did you take?
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it? There was intent there, I think, and that sometimes you don't get that. With these early League Cup ties, you get a mixed, sort of a hodgepodge of players playing. You want to give chances to squad players. You maybe get one or two new guys, and we end up seeing a lot of new guys tonight, and that sometimes leads to sort of unsure football, tentative football, misplaced passes and things not quite working well and people being in the wrong place, and a little bit of that, but all in all it was quite nice and quite fun to watch and quite exciting. A lot of the players, I think, as they showed attacking intent and were quite fun and exciting to watch.
Very fun and exciting. Like I say, Mike and I did talk about Vata. He came off, but MK Dons made 3 substitutes at half-time. They certainly came out a bit more on the front foot. They got a bit of the foothold in it. Then Tom made 3 substitutions, 3 debutants coming onto the pitch. Kwadwo Baah scores his goal. We've got his chant for him. Yasser Larouchi and Mamadou Doumbia. That I don't want to go over the top about this, but it did exactly what it needed. It changed the game to a point of view of adding a lot of attacking energy, a lot of attacking impetus, which I said to Eli at one point, that's the problem. If they get one back, or we need to keep pushing at them, and didn't quite feel that with Rajovic. There was quite enough there, but they came on with bags of energy. Yeah,
and to me, it felt like, as we were as they were getting ready, it felt like it was a planned substitution, because it sort of happened on the hour, and I thought, well, I'm assuming this is planned. He's giving these guys some game time, but it came at the right time for us, because Milton Keynes, they had been on top at that point in terms of possession, and they were the ones looking like they were creating chances. Not a load of chances, but they had 1 or 2, and Bond had to make some, a save or 2. And my first reaction was, you talk about Vata, I thought, Vata's going off. I thought Ince was starting to look tired, having only scored 1 goal at that point. And I would have preferred Ince to go off and kept Vata on, but he made those changes, and straight away there was an extra sort of zip and energy about the team. And sometimes, on my soapbox, I don't like the 5-sub thing, really. I think it disrupts teams and not makes a mockery of games. It just feels like it can change games the wrong way, and everyone seems to feel that they need to make and use all 5 subs to give players game time, and sometimes you think, well, do you really need to do that? If things are going well, we need to keep things solid. But today it was just bringing all the players that came on looked really good and had something about them, whether that's a point to prove, trying to get themselves into the starting 11 for the league games, and it just it was fun to watch. Even more fun when they came on.
Yeah, and again, the exercise of doing a first round game almost seems a stupid thing to do sometimes, to play this game, but we don't get enough out of it. Got a lot out of it, all those players. Yes, it's only a few minutes, but for me it gave them a lot more confidence in what the squad did, what we've got over and what we've got to build on, I suppose. But there's 2 players that really sort of fascinate me a little bit. 2 players, who are deemed to be first team players. Tom Ince, but also Imran Loser sort of really grew into that game, and I felt he was lost, and I think I was sat next to Ollie Wicken. He sort of said he looked like he had no confidence whatsoever. But the 2 of them, I think they got a lot out of that game.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably what helped Loser was that his part in the goal, in the second goal just before half-time, doing what we know Loser can do. It's that delightful ball over the top for Andrews to run onto. which he did really well. He kept his head, he was composed and he kept his head and played a nice ball across for Ince to score. But yeah, he was tidy. I can't recall him putting a foot wrong, apart from there was one stupid back heel thing where he left Morris in trouble. But I think other than that, I thought, yeah, he looked pretty tidy getting about the pitch. I think the system is great as well for all the players. There's definitely a sort of fluidity there, and players seem to be given a bit of licence to move about. And Loser was doing the work to cover players as well, where we're getting players forward on the right-hand side. There was a point where Andrews had gone forward and Loser's dropped in, sort of almost in the right-back slot and helping the defence out. So, yeah, happy to see that performance from Loser. You think you sort of question whether does he still want to be around given what happened last season with the loan move and everything. But, yeah, nice performance from him tonight, I thought.
Okay. Well, I'm going to push you now, Jason. Who is your new favourite Watford player?
Oh, blimey. Now you see, I normally like a left back, but we haven't got any, so because we're playing 3-4-2-1. It's early days, isn't it? If you want me to look at that game,
yep,
and pick a player from there, I just like Baah when he came on. Just his energy and his direct running and the pace, the backflip celebration. Yeah, that was amazing. He was probably a bit fortunate with the goal. The goal, he probably felt he could have done better with that one as well as Ince's second.
But, the backflip for me also got me extra excited, and I did say that does make me a cheap football fan, that I get overly excited because he can do a backflip, and I do enjoy that. But yeah, just felt a little bit more like he's going to sort of bed in and maybe a little bit quicker. I think that's probably why I preferred him.
Yeah.
But I think overall there were options. It was a shining through for the new system. It was a very enjoyable evening. Maybe a little bit bad because of Tom Delibashiru going off. Didn't look too injured.
Yeah,
maybe more
let's hope
cautious.
he's okay.
Yeah. But you can just got to say a very, very successful evening for Watford Football Club.
Yeah, absolutely. When you consider the last 4 seasons, I think we've been knocked out by a team from a lower division, including at home to Milton Keynes a couple of seasons ago. Some bloke, Rob Edwards, was in charge then, I think. What does he know about football? It just makes a nice change, doesn't it, to be in the hat for the next round and seeing a performance like that. We've been worried about where we're going to score goals from this season. We've played 2 games and we've scored 8. It's fantastic. Can we play against that goalie every week though? That's the only thing I'd say.
Well, of course, we'll see if we do get some more goalies to play against like that, and see if we can. You never know. Keep a bit of a run going at home to Stoke on Saturday. But I think more than anything, I think it's another game against a traditional established championship side. We can really see what these boys can do in those games, which is of course going to be our week in, week out, not a game against a League 2 team like Milton Keynes does. So thank you so much. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you very much DCW for his input about the history of the Watford and the Carabao Cup, or the League Cup. Thank you to Michael. We're back again after the game against Stoke on Saturday for another podcast. So thank you very much for listening, and come on you Orns!